Okay, so today we'll be going over Array-3 fix34. So what you want to do with this problem is go through the given array, look for any 3's, and what you want to do is take the number right after the 3 and replace it with a 4. And then you want to basically take where the 4 was and replace it with the number right behind the 3. So let's look at this second example right here. The given array is 1, 3, 1, 4, 4, 3, 1. So you can see that in the answer array, they switch this 4 and this 1 so that the 4 appears right after the 3. So it's 1, 3, 4, 1. And then this 4 gets swapped with this 1. So it's 1, 3, 4. This way, every 4 in the array is right after 3. So let's get into solving it. What you want to do first is create a loop that runs through every single number inside the array. And then what you want to do is see if the number you're currently checking is equal to 3. Because if it is, then you want to save the number right after 3 because you'll be replacing it with a 4. And then you can replace it with a 4. Now the reason we have to save the number we're replacing is because if we don't save it and we just change it into a 4, we're going to lose that value. The computer doesn't actually save the value you need to save it yourself, which is what this temporary value stands for. And then looking at these examples, although they don't explicitly state it in the problem, which they should, we can see that in every single array they give us, other than the 3's and the 4's, all the other numbers are the same. So in this first example, ignoring the 3's and the 4's, the rest of the array will be 1's. In the second example as well, if you ignore the 3's and the 4's, the rest of the numbers are all 1. In the third example, if you ignore the 3's and the 4's, the rest of the array is 2's. So we can see that ignoring the 3's and the 4's in the arrays they give us, all the rest of the numbers will be the exact same number. So using the temporary value that we saved, we can just run through the rest of the for loop, the rest of the array. And the reason we start at index I plus 2 is because index I is going to be where the 3 is located. Index I plus 1 is going to be where the 4 is located, which means that starting at index I plus 2, starting at 2 numbers after the 3, we can now replace every single 4. So int j equals I plus 2, j is less than nums.length, j plus plus. And then within this for loop, all we need to do is check if the nums at j is equal to 4, because if it is, all we need to do is set the number we're checking equal to temp. Now once you finish this, just return the array. Now the reason, you'll notice in this first for loop that I goes all the way to nums.length instead of nums.length minus 1. Now some people will look at this and be confused, because normally if you're checking at I plus 1, then obviously you need to set the limit at nums.length minus 1 so you don't go out of bounds. I'll give you an example of this. So this first example array has 4 spaces, and because indexes start at 0, that means that this last 4 is at index 3. Now, if we say that I is less than nums.length, like so, then we're essentially saying that since the length is 4, I can go up to 3, which makes sense because 4 is at index 3, which is the last index in the array. However, most people will say you can't do that because you're checking at I plus 1. So let's say that our I is equal to 3. We're checking the last element of this array. If we check for I plus 1, we're going to be checking for index 4, which doesn't exist because the array is only length 4. So normally this would be out of bounds. However, the reason that it's okay in this case is because the problem explicitly states every 3 has a number after it that is not a 3. This means that the problem will not give you an array with 3 at the last index, which means that it'll be okay.